Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. When you need tools for home improvement projects or building materials for do-it-yourself work, you need to turn to a business with more than 100 years of proven quality and proven customer service. And only one of those around here is A.G. Hines Company. Since 1920, they have just been a fantastic hub for local business here right downtown on Hines Street in Knoxville. Get down there and see them. Good people, Gordon Hines and all his family down there. 4 generations. And let me tell you, they will take care of you just like their great-granddaddy took care of your great-granddaddy, A.G. Hines Company. All right. So Tennessee, a 3, they lose to an 11 seed. It was an 11 seed that was 17-14. We could sit here and say, well, and this is true, Michigan, big conference team, though. That's legit. That doesn't always hold up in the tournament. Kentucky didn't use the big conference thing against St. Peter's. So was it a choke? There are some people out there, and that's the funny thing. You've got a fan base now that, and you're judging it online, and people I'm talking to on Twitter, it's kind of split. You got the people who never really bought into Barnes, so they're chirping today because they can't stand him, and it's all his fault. You got the other people who love Rick Barnes. You can't blame him for anything. Was it a choke job?
I don't call it that, man. I see Michigan. I see a team with 5 straight Sweet 16s, and they won a game to go to the Sweet 16. So I definitely don't call it a choke. It's disappointing, yeah, but a choke job, I couldn't say that.
Guys, choke? We're not going to do it. One, two, jump in.
I didn't think so. And here's the thing. We'll go back to this. Tennessee did lead by 6 points with 8 minutes left. Now, they went into a drought, but they went into droughts all season long, right? Yeah. So I don't think just because they went into a drought in this game, you could define that as a choke job. They did have a poor shooting game, no doubt about it. 3 of their best three-point shooters went 1 for 15. But I can't say that Josiah Jordan-James choked.
No.
I mean, he started out great in that game. I just think it was unfortunate down the stretch. They couldn't get a basket. Michigan did, and Michigan had the answer.
And another part of that, too, John, I don't think it was a choke because a lot of times, to me, I think you see that at the free throw line. I think the pressure gets to you then, and you can tell that. When was the last time Tennessee had really been behind? I mean, they had been playing so well, they'd had the lead, you know.
And get back to Isaiah's point.
Yes, and then all of a sudden it's slipping away, and you need that one point. No, I don't think it was a choke, and I can't see how somebody could define it as that.
Right, I agree.
To me, it's choke defines that they lost confidence, and I don't think there's anything about this team that lost confidence. They just didn't play well. Like, the reality is, offensively, they just didn't make shots that they're accustomed to making. Defensively, they still kind of did their thing. Their team was better inside than we were, and so we didn't shoot well. The confidence, the choke it's not a choke job. I just think
And I thought,
and the part of that, we were playing so well, maybe even above expectations the last couple months or last month, and it was such a feel-good moment. And that's the hard part about the NCAA tournament. You're on such a high 2 days earlier, winning by 30, thinking I see people buying Final Four tickets and all this stuff. You're so high, and then it's gone. And that's what makes the NCAA tournament so hard.
That's why I would be very leery of mocking someone else who goes out early, which
exactly.
there's a lot of that going on. I sometimes believe in karma, sometimes I don't. I do in sports. So when you're mocking Kentucky for going down, I'm like, hold on to that. And tweet that after Tennessee gets through the next round.
And I thought James nailed it in his post-game comments. He said, sure, we had a lot higher expectations, but you have to give Michigan credit. They played better for 40 minutes.
I don't think it was a choke job, but I do think you have people saying that because they're angry. They're incredibly disappointed. I think the reason this one feels so bad, not just for the obvious, that you had a team that was capable of making a Final Four run, I think it is the stack of these types of losses that define this program. And there are people that thought I was going to say Rick Barnes. It's this let me show you something. Let's take a look at this laundry list, if you dare. Isaiah, you might want to cover yours for part of this.
Man, I'm tough.
Remember with this program, you'd never made an NCAA tournament before 1967. None. Hadn't made one. Ray Mears, who was the god before Bruce Pearl, 0-4 all-time in the NCAA tournament. Lost to VMI in 1976, and I realized Bernard King was hurt, but come on, VMI. Don DeVoe, he's the one guy that didn't have upset losses. He just got horrible draws. That was a smaller tournament then, but he lost to a 1 seed, a 2 seed, a 1 seed, a 1 seed, a 1 seed, and then a 7 seed. Only one Sweet 16, though. Jerry Green, oh my. 1 Sweet 16. but you had 4 losses to lower seeds in his 4 years. Every year you lost 8 to a 9, which isn't that bad, but 4 to a 12. Southwest Missouri State by 30. You were a 4 that lost to 8. North Carolina came back on you in the Sweet 16. Isaiah, I know that hurts you. 8 to a 9 seed against Charlotte. Bruce Pearl comes in, has the Elite 8, 2 Sweet 16s. He had a 2 seed that lost to a 10 seed Wichita State, and that was only after you hit a buzzer beater to get past Winthrop in the first round. You were almost a 2 seed that lost to a 15. You had the number 1 team for the first time in history. You lose in the Sweet 16 that year when everyone's thinking Final Four. Conzo Martin, he had 1 Sweet 16, but he only made 1 trip in 3 years. There are many guys on this list who didn't make any trips. Rick Barnes, he's got 4 losses now in his tournaments, and all of them were to lower seeds. All right, you have a 3 seed losing to an 11 seed Loyola Chicago. You have the number 1 team in the country for a month. They lose in the Sweet 16 like the other number 1 team Tennessee had. You lose as a 5 to a 12 in the first round. You lose as a 3 to an 11. I don't think this is so much aimed at this loss and Rick Barnes. It feels like it. I think it's more about we do this every year. I think Tennessee fans, and I grew up a Tennessee fan. I'm from here. I know the old games. I've got tickets that show I was there as a little boy. I remember all those losses. I remember all of the, I thought this was the year and it's not. I think that part of the outrage and part of people saying they choked, they didn't choke. They just kind of fell into the same pattern Tennessee usually does, and that is you are snake bit. People talk about the football program being cursed. I think the basketball program
Well,
is cursed. Go ahead and debate.
if fans have that type of attitude about it, that where you're okay or you're expecting these losses, then you're not a top 15 program.
No, I don't think
what
they're
we talked about
expecting
last week.
losses.
What we said
I think
is
they're
that
expecting wins.
Well, but when they do lose, it's like, oh, here we go again, right? That's the attitude. I don't think you're a top 15 program like we talked about last week or maybe 2 weeks ago on the show.
Yeah.
If you have that type of mindset as a fan base, I don't think you have that. This program is a top 15 program. There has been challenges. They've not gone to the Elite 8. You're losing the lower seeds. All the things are accurate and true. But I don't know how much of a carryover from a 1976 to a 2022.
Hang on. I got Bob Hodge sitting over here. Bob Hodge is a Minnesota Vikings fan. Bob, does it carry over? Yeah, I think you talk to a New York Jet fan if stuff carries over. They're going to say, yeah, it carries over.
John, I'm from Knoxville, so I know a lot of people, and the people I talk to, Tennessee fans, it's repeatedly getting your hopes up. This is the year.
It's Charlie Brown.
And it is getting those hopes dashed and then zap, and you're just like, why did we have Tennessee going to the Final Four in our bracket? Why did we have them going to the Sweet 16 when this happens to us almost every time?
Yeah, and the thing is, it happens to everybody but one team every year. Now, that's my take. You disagree. I just think that part of the outrage is pooled over time. That here we go again. Lucy moved the football and we fell on our butts again. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a bad fan base. I think that's common everywhere. And I'm not saying that somehow this means they aren't a top 15 program. I'm just saying your history is disappointment in March, and I think people get tired of it. And every year it gets a little worse because of that. Now, if you guys disagree with that,
No.
go forward.
I mean, I can speak on our 4 years. Before we got here, we didn't go to the tournament for prior 10 years.
Yep.
So, and then we lost to North Carolina. They were a lower seed than us in the Sweet 16, but it was North Carolina. I think you throw the seeds away in the tournament. I always say that. And then at the end of the tournament, you'll see who was what, especially at that time of the year, who should have been this seed. Because if you just go by the seeds, the top number 1 seed should win it every year, and that's not the case.
Finish though.
No, I just for me, I don't know. I don't dwell on it as much. And so, like when they lose, I guess being in it when you know that teams can get hot, how hard it is even to get to the NCAA tournament and to win and to advance. You just have a different. I just have a perspective to where it doesn't wear on me as much, and I don't think about it. Even as a Bears fan, you put the Minnesota. Like I don't think that the Bears, because they've been terrible, that they're. I don't know. I just have a different perspective where it doesn't dwell on me. I don't dwell on it as much when we have a loss.
Especially if it's just one game.
Because you forget about all the other good things that have been accomplished in this season, and you're not always defined by just how you played that one game. I
agree with that. I just think that most fans view it fanatically.
Yeah, 100%.
As opposed to
100%.
Your rational view of it.
Yeah.
As a fanatic for my own teams, I know I can get a little irrational with my team.
Yeah, but your team's has won a few Super Bowls through the years. Yeah. You know.
Suck now, fire Belichick. When we come back, let's talk about what this team accomplished. What's the grade for the season? Let's talk about some players. We're 1,000 minutes over, so it'll be a quick segment. But let's grade the season. Come on back.